Hello everyone, welcome back to King of Games Mobile. Today we're going to be talking about a relatively new game called Might and Magic Elemental Guardians. I wanted to do a series of reviews on monsters. They'll be quick, just a quick overview and an opinion as to whether or not they're worth keeping. Hopefully newer players will find this useful. Just as a disclaimer, in the end game with high enough glyphs, pretty much any monster can be usable to some degree. So this is more in mind with newer players with realistically obtainable runes. So if you're end game and you're using your snake fly, then more power to you, and I'm glad you're able to accomplish that. But like I said, this is to help new gamers. That being said, I wanted to start off with a monster class that I feel is really helpful for new players, and that is the Stone Guard. Let me go over the different elements, and I'll tell you which one I think is the best. Let's just look at the skills, starting with fire. The second skill is attacks an enemy, inflicting great damage with an attack increase based on own max HP. 75% chance of taunting them for one turn. Counterattacks with a 50% chance and decreases own chance of receiving a critical attack. This isn't terrible. You can actually use him with life steal runes or with just really high vitality runes, and he'll do a pretty good amount of damage and he'll have decent survivability. However, I would not use him as my farmer, and the reason for that is he doesn't really have the elemental advantage for a lot of the scenarios you're going to farm. Especially early on, you're going to be farming the first few scenarios, and there are better choices. Again, I'm not saying he's terrible, but there are better choices. This is the Stone Guard Water. If you look at his skills, the second one is attacks all enemies, inflicting great damage with an attack increase based on own max HP, 35% chance of taunting all enemies for one turn. That is a really helpful skill. Anytime you're looking for a farmer in a game like this, an area of effect damage dealer can just really speed things up. And then his passive is he counterattacks with a 50% chance, shields self by 10% of max HP for one turn. So that means that whenever he's attacked, there's a 50-50 chance that he'll counterattack, inflict damage, and also shield himself. This gives him better sustainability than the Fire Stone Guard. Also, I would run him definitely with lifesteal runes. Lifesteal runes with speed and high hit point substats. He's not going to do a crazy amount of damage like that, but he'll be able to survive. And with the lifesteal runes, he'll be able to farm just about anything you need in the scenario. Moving on to the next one, the Air Stone Guard. His second skill is attacks an enemy with an attack increase based on own defense and decreases their attack for 2 turns. So this is not an AoE, it's just one, so it could be good for a boss to attack break him, but again, for a farmer, you're going to want him to be an area of attack. However, he can be decent early arena. Again, if you face a team that has maybe mainly support but 1 or 2 nukers, then this could definitely give your team some sustain and give you a chance to do damage on your own. But while he's a good monster, he's not a great monster. So I wouldn't devote my early resources into building him. But again, he's not terrible. And lastly, the Earth Stone Guard. The skills, second skill, attacks an enemy with an attack increase based on own max HP. 50% chance of taunting them for 2 turns, and 50% chance of lowering their turn bar by 20%. Reusable in 3 turns. So again, it's a good skill for dealing with a single annoying opponent. Of course, turn denial is always an effective strategy in any RPG type game like this. It's only reusable in 3 turns, but you could use meditation runes. He's not a terrible farmer, but again, I feel the water one is better. You could build him for arena just like the Air Guard. You'd use them in slightly different ways, but that would be my assessment of his second skill. His third skill, attacks all enemies and drains their hit points. Drain is 25% of own attack with the amount increase based on own max HP. So you can actually stack that with lifesteal runes, and he'll steal a pretty good amount of damage. Based on his skills, you could argue that he seems like he would be a better farmer. I've experimented, like I said, with all four, and I found the Stone Water Guard to have more survivability. But if you decide, if this is the only one you have and you just want to start building it, it's not a terrible choice, and it'll still help you a lot in the game. And that's pretty much it. The first attacks are all the same, attacks an enemy. And you can also hit the arrow buttons to see what their evolutions look like. You know, their evolutions aren't too costly. I believe it's 2 magic books, and I wouldn't evolve all of them, but if you choose one to be your farmer and you want to evolve it, you can. But honestly, you don't even have to. You can save those magic books. The same with skill ups. You know, you don't necessarily need to max skill your farmer. It might make farmer a little bit faster or a little bit more reliable, but it's not entirely necessary. And just to show you real quick, here is mine. He's evolved to the Ice Knight because I didn't know any better. You'll see he's got 1 purple glyph on him, but it's not like a super good glyph. You know, it's got a flat stat. Well, it's got some percentage substats. And, you know, it's got mainly green and yellow ones. They're not terrible runes, obviously, but they're not super in-game runes. The purple one came from the shop, so it's not like you couldn't attain it. But let's just look at one quick run. I use him to farm Volcano Nightmare right now. Really easy to do. Start the run. And of course, if you can't run it on auto, it doesn't count as a farmer. So let's just take a quick look. That was his area of attack. And the other monsters are actually just there to get leveled up. They don't matter. I could take him by himself, or I could take him with all 1-star monsters. It really doesn't matter. And also keep in mind, he has an element advantage against fire, but not against wind. See there, his damage is decent. He critted there, that was 3,500. And he's averaging around 2,000 damage. This is the final wave, the dragon boss. You see he's taking the poison, not a big deal. He's recovering almost 1,000 life points every time he hits. And his shield is proccing at a pretty good rate. And even though it's 3-on-1, you can tell that survivability is really not going to be an option. 1 or 2 hits and he'll finish the dragon. 1 more should be. There you go. So a fairly quick run. Didn't require any supervision on auto. And that's pretty much my assessment of the Stone Guards. I hope you enjoy it. Comment and like if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you'd like to see more, if you'd like to have more information, less information, or anything constructive about the video. I always try to improve quality over time. So until next time, this is King of Games Mobile signing out, and we'll see you next time.